Welcome to Golden Blue, everybody, home of the college football fan. And don't forget about the checklist. Hat check, sunglasses check, Pepsi check, notes check, sources check, and thick skin is a check. And don't forget to sing gear to represent your team and yourself in my background. Send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina, 29657, and get yourself a shout out. On to the next video. Whenever tax time rolls around, we will be extending our shelves all the way over to the door, so there will be more room. In case you're wondering, these are the teams that we don't have represented for the mini helmets. Tulane, SMU, Navy, East Carolina, Memphis, Tulsa, Temple, South Florida, UTSA, North Texas, UAB, FAU, Rice, Charlotte, Oregon, Utah, Washington State, Arizona, Cal, Stanford, Colorado, Louisville, NC State, Wake Forest, Boston College, Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Auburn, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Penn State, Maryland, Indiana, Rutgers, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Northwestern, James Madison, Coastal Carolina, Appalachian State, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, Old Dominion, Troy, South Alabama, Southern Miss, Louisiana, UL Monroe, Texas State, Arkansas State, Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, Liberty, Sam Houston State, Jacksonville State, Notre Dame, UConn, UMass, Ohio, Buffalo, Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, Kent State, Akron, Toledo, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Ball State, Central Michigan, Northern Illinois, Wyoming, Colorado State, New Mexico, Fresno State, San Diego State, San Jose State, UNLV, Hawaii, and Nevada. Just giving y'all a heads up, I'm going to talk about West Virginia basketball, all right? And I'm not going to list players and talk about stats and all that stuff. West Virginia does absolutely annihilate Oklahoma State at home by 20 points. Don't even remember the final score, but it was a good game finally. I'm just not... Holy crap. I'm not understanding this team. Such highs and such lows. It's unbelievable. There's no consistency. There's no even keel to this team. They're either up on the mountaintop or in the valley. What is going on with this team? Listen, the team that we saw against Oklahoma State, that's how good we can be. Why doesn't that team show up every time? Why doesn't that team? Even Bob Huggins said he had to talk with guys and said, hey, do you want to go out to the NCAA tournament and represent this entire state? Or do you want to go out giving away games? And that's what we've been doing. I mean, going on the road and get blasted by 30 against Texas. And I get that Texas is a good team. And then, yeah, Texas Tech was a hot team, and they beat West Virginia in Morgantown. But West Virginia should have beat Texas Tech. So it was encouraging. It was encouraging to see West Virginia absolutely wallop Oklahoma State. And I'm hoping that we end the season hot. The problem is, we have 2 road games next. At Kansas and at Iowa State. I don't see us winning either. But if we win just one of those, West Virginia is in the big dance. That's all it takes. However, I don't expect us to do that. I expect us to lose both of those games. Then we get a good ranked Kansas State team at home. That is a must-win game. If we drop that and lose both road games, then we probably have to win the Big 12 championship tournament to get in the big dance, or at least win a couple of games. We need a lot of help. This is what I've been telling people. West Virginia, right now, West Virginia doesn't have to play their way in, but we could lose our way out. If we lose all 3 of our games, and then we don't win a game in the Big 12 championship tournament, West Virginia is not making the big dance, which would be a shame. A big-time shame. This is the best shooting West Virginia team I've seen since the 2010 Final Four West Virginia team under Bob Huggins and Deshaun Butler. And the only reason we didn't get any further was because, of course, we had an injury. Deshaun Butler kind of reminded me of 1988 when we got the national championship and Major Harris got hurt in the first quarter. It is what it is. The point of this video is, man, just be consistent. Be consistent. We know you're good. We know you can shoot great. Defense, not great. I understand that. It's not great. But our offense is really, really good. Really, really good. It's top 100. And when you're talking about 363 teams, that's impressive. At one point, our offense was actually top 50 when it comes to scoring. It slid down into the 70s, but still, that's pretty good. Compare that to like the 220s or 250s, something like that, under previous Bob Huggins teams when we had Press Virginia. Could you imagine the combination of having this great shooting team and Press Virginia? We'd be unstoppable. We'd be absolutely unstoppable. And the enigma that is Big 12 road games. Now, kudos to Texas Tech. They were able to come into Morgantown and beat West Virginia. They are red hot. They are playing their way into the big dance. West Virginia is now 16-12. If we finish, 17-14, and win one game in the Big 12 championship tournament, we're in. If we finish 18-13, we don't even need to win a game in the Big 12 championship tournament, because that would mean that we would have won one road game and then beaten Kansas State at home. So we wouldn't need any help. Right now, we have to at least, at minimum, beat Kansas State in the regular season and then probably win one or two games in the Big 12 championship tournament. The Big 12 is a good conference. Make no mistake about that. I mean, we absolutely whooped Pitt on the road earlier in the season, and they're at the very top of the ACC. That wasn't a home game for West Virginia. That was a road game, and we absolutely clobbered them, whooped them, embarrassed them on their home court, and yet they're sitting at the top of the ACC. Could you imagine if West Virginia played in the ACC in basketball? No, this is not a conference realignment where I'm projecting West Virginia to go to the ACC. I'm done and over with that until I hear something like concrete, ironclad. I don't see it happening. What I'm saying is, if West Virginia were in the ACC, it's possible we'd be undefeated. Possible. I don't think we would, but possible. Undefeated in the ACC. I think we would definitely win the ACC, and Pitt is projected to be like a 8 or 9 seed. Right now, West Virginia is projected to be a 12 seed. So we're getting close to not being in the brackets as far as bracketology goes. And they're not 100% correct. Don't get me wrong. They're not even close. But it gives you a direction. It gives you kind of a feel what might happen, what could happen. And I said, you know what? I said earlier that they're not even close. They're close, but they're not perfect. They're not 100%. It's not like, look at bracketology, and that's exactly what the brackets will look like. That's what I'm saying. So West Virginia 12 seed, that might be a little low, especially since we absolutely clobbered Oklahoma State. But it's not far off. If it's not a 12 seed, then we're looking at either a 10 or 11 seed, which means if we go into the big dance as a 12 seed, we would end up playing a 5 seed, which I actually like that because the 12-5 matchup is always known for that epic upset, right? Well, if we're an 11 seed, we would play a 6 seed. And if we're a 10 seed, we would play a 6 seed. So the farther up you go, the less difficult, quote unquote, as far as the seedings go. It just depends on matchups, though. We could get matched up against a team that's absolutely the team we need to get matched up against as far as 12-5, 11-6, or 10-7. It just depends on matchup. I'm hoping that we don't get a team that's like just really, really super good on defense and okay on offense. I think that's the matchup that would, I think it would hurt West Virginia. So it depends on matchups, but first things first, we have to get into the big dance. I think it's hilarious. Whenever Bob Huggins put out that tweet that I just mentioned a while back, talking about he had a talk with his guys saying, hey, we have a chance to get into the NCAA tournament, represent our state, or we can keep giving games away. And in the comment section is, has he not been telling the players this whole time? If he has been telling the players this whole time, it hasn't been working. Just a bunch of different comments acting like they knew better than what Bob Huggins is doing. Bob Huggins is a Hall of Fame coach. Yes, West Virginia basketball drives me crazy. And yes, we play down under our competition at times. And I'm like, what are you doing? And in your head, yeah, it does come down to coaching. But these guys, I mean, they have their own emotions. They have their own character and will, whatever else you want to call it. They have their own minds that they can make up. The coach can't make up their own mind. And so he just does have to have these talks sometimes. And I'm hoping that it helps. I'm hoping that it works. Because as we saw against Oklahoma State, they're a pretty good team when they play at their highest level. So we have some difficult games coming up. All 3 of them against ranked opponents. 2 of them on the road. I'm not expecting West Virginia to win any of those road games. It would be a miracle, and it would be a pleasant surprise to me if we won at Kansas or at Iowa State. But we have to beat Kansas State at home. So y'all in the comment section, number 1, do you think West Virginia does get into the big dance? Number 2, do you agree with me? If we don't make the big dance, this will be the most talented West Virginia team to not make the big dance. And number 3, if we do make the big dance, do you agree with me? West Virginia could make a deep run all the way maybe to the Sweet 16 or beyond. That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.